Hello, it's August 17th, and we're here for another episode of the Level 1 News. Today we're doing government and security. And that awkward pause you just heard was us pausing for the air conditioner. So we can scrub that out.
We'd hit 30 seconds, and I was like, okay, 32, 33.
Yeah, we're still going.
But I realized that you can't see that.
I can't see that. No, it's too far away.
You can't. No, it's not that it's too far away, Kristen. That's not the problem.
It's too far away.
That's not it.
Well, let's talk about some. You didn't even tell us what we're getting into here, Kristen.
Yeah.
This is the San Pellegrino. So I got a case of San Pellegrino. I think this is the one that I had before, but it's really good. It's been a long week.
You really pronounce that orange name?
Aranciata.
That would be my guess.
Yeah.
The blood orange. I do have the blood orange. So somebody sent me the sampler. There's like 30 cans in this case of San Pellegrino. It wouldn't all fit in the fridge.
Now, you said you've tried a couple of them, right?
Yes.
How different are they?
They're very different.
Really?
It's the spectrum from like lemon. There's like 2 or 3 lemon varieties, I guess. And then this one. And then there's a blood orange variety as well, which everybody has been saying I got to try the blood orange one.
Let's say I give you 2 of the regular oranges side by side. Could you tell them apart?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I'm just wondering how distinct the orange flavor is.
Oh, this is the overall distinct flavor of this or the overall flavor of this is very distinct. With 19% orange juice, and yet this it has a strong taste, but it doesn't have a strong orange juice taste like some of the other ones.
Now I remember whatever the last orange one you tried. You've tried a San Pellegrino. That got high marks.
Yeah, this is like an A plus. It's also 120 calories. So I'm going to be extra peppy for the news, I guess.
Is it sugary?
Or is
that just the juice?
To be 120 calories, it doesn't taste sugary, but sugar is the number 2 ingredient ahead of orange juice concentrate.
Oh, but that's real sugar, huh?
Yeah, I guess.
Nice.
Well, I don't know. I think the USDA okayed calling high fructose corn syrup sugar.
Really?
Which is unfortunate.
That seems counter to the public interest.
I wonder who got bribed for that.
They added extra citric acid, but yeah, San Pellegrino really, it feels very, very high end. I don't know what it is.
It's pricey, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so.
I wouldn't know.
Everyone sends it.
Everyone has been very kind in supporting us, so thank you.
I don't remember what I paid for that little package I bought, but it's over there in the fancy section. I'll say that. Well, you got to give it a letter grade and a venue. I don't think you gave the last one a venue.
Product of Italy. Oh, it's 120 degrees there last week. That's
You think that'll hurt the orange harvest?
That's bad. I would drink this after a very hard week where I'm just sort of tired of everything.
Would you drink it if you'd so it's the end of the week and you're out of energy, but you need to go to the Green Pass protest?
Yeah, this would be a good choice.
Would you blast one of those?
That would be a good choice.
They're doing a lot of that over there. Well, when we're not talking about oranges, we like to talk about tech news. And let's talk about some government and security tech news. And there's a lot of money floating around up there in Washington, and they're just dying to give it out.
The DoD has awarded a $1 billion contract to Peraton to counter misinformation. Now, you read this, and it's like, that's not horrifying at all. And then you read it, and it's like, well, okay. It's to counter misinformation from foreign governments about this, that, or the other.
Are you sure they're going to limit it to that?
No.
I was going to say, why would they contract it out if they weren't trying to get around some sort of loophole law?
Yeah, I kind of doubt it. They there was a quote in there, something about, like, the narrative and disinformation and all that stuff. And it's like, well, that's really just your narrative, isn't it?
Yeah. Remember when it was the Department of War?
Yeah, we don't say that anymore.
We don't.
It's not palatable to the American public.
Because, all those defense events that happen on the mainland. Oh, wait.
Shell shock to post-traumatic stress disorder.
So they're not new, though. We've been giving them money for a long time, and they've been doing this for a while, just in some other venues. Some of the other government agencies have already hired them to do other stuff. That's a lot of money. And the lawmakers, they definitely picked the headlines, the tech headlines, more than ever, and used them to immediately go into some sort of bill or something. I think that's exactly what this is.
Reuters reports U.S. lawmakers introduced bill to rein in Apple and Google app stores. I everybody's writing this up. I think everybody's missing the mark. Look, if you want to, they're basically saying that it's predatory for Apple and Google to get involved in the transactions between developers and their customers. But none of the language of the bill and none of this stuff really faces it head on. It's like everybody's afraid to call it what it is, which is like, if I have a customer and the customer wants to do business with me, they should be able to directly do business with me. Could there possibly be anything more American than that level of entrepreneurship?
Okay, here, I'm going to make an argument. I'm going to devil's advocate this. Is it okay if I bring my McDonald's into your Subway and eat it?
I wouldn't care if I was an employee at one.
But some people really do care about that.
Yeah, some people really see it that way. And that's a little different. That's kind of a lot different. But yeah, it's like I've committed to Subway. And because I've committed to Subway, Subway does not want me eating anywhere else. They would rather that I starve than eat anywhere else because I've committed to Subway.
And let me tell you, if Subway could figure that out, they would absolutely try to do that.
Eating their not tuna products.
It's not unprecedented. I mean, we had the first sale doctrine laws come about because book publishers were doing this kind of thing. So this is not really anything new. It's just, the old thing with computers.
And it is a little different, I will admit, because in that analogy, Subway's not trying to take a piece of your McDonald's order that you paid, right? Like, there's not a corking fee.
Yeah.
At the Subway.
Thanks for the fries, bro. And just takes them out of your bag.
Basically, that's what we're talking about here. So, yeah, they're saying that the payment system should not be part of the ecosystem. You should be able to pay however you want.
Yeah, well, it's okay for the payment system to be part of the ecosystem, but
not
you
the
should be able
one.
to have as many as you want.
And we also have a follow-up from a headline last week, if you remember, that Facebook, they had this group of researchers, and they had this pretty impressive browser plugin that was measuring the things that Facebook wouldn't let them look at by letting, the crowdsourcing the information. Facebook, not a fan, and shut them right down. So some lawmakers said, wait a minute.
TechCrunch says, senators press Facebook for answers about why it cut off misinformation researchers. So one of the components of the research, which is really, I think, pretty damning for what Facebook is doing here, was the researchers were screen scraping volunteers. It was like, hey, you want to help us research? We're going to screen scrape all your stuff from Facebook. And then the researchers would buy ads targeting demographics and political ads targeting demographics, which Facebook has said repeatedly and explicitly that they've given a lot of attention to. But the researchers were able to demonstrate that that was all lies.
And the people participating could tell the researchers some things about themselves and what they've opted into and what they haven't, and kind of prove that Facebook was not being honest.
Yeah, and the sample size was pretty good sized here. So this is a little bit of a smoking gun.
I think that's what upset Facebook the most, is how many people were willing to participate in this because they hate Facebook.
Very interesting.
So, will anything come from that? No. I mean, we do have this, it's open season on Facebook right now. So a financial punishment maybe we could get.
Facebook's going to be like, we don't allow scraping. Look what happened with Cambridge Analytica. And it's like, well, this is a different kind of scraping, guys. Come on.
Also, in Cambridge Analytica, the user was completely ignorant of everything. In this situation, the user is fully informed about everything.
I would go a step farther and say that the user was actively tricked because it was, which Kardashian are you? And that was just, as you played that game, it was just mining all of your stuff in the background.
She's not really a Courtney.
Which one do you think you are? Is it just the daughters we pick from?
I guess.
I don't even know how many there are.
I think there's 3 or 4, right?
Yeah.
But they're different. It's a different lineage. There's different fathers in there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Not really. It's not interesting at all. Well, the big infrastructure bill, did that actually get passed yet? Or I know they're fighting real hard about that. Everybody's trying to get their pork in that. And but we will get it eventually. We'll get some version of it. And when we do, there will be $65 billion worth of broadband upgrade money to be spread around. Now, when we started out this bill, we were told that we were going to get an emphasis on fiber. We were going to get an emphasis on small ISPs, and we were going to do something about this whole making municipal ISPs illegal. Those were going to be the big factors of this bill. Guess what happened to all 3 things?
Big Telecom comes out on top in the $65 billion broadband upgrade. All the things Ryan mentioned, they were gutted. So even if you've got a successful municipal broadband, they aren't going to get any kind of preferential treatment. they can still apply for funds. But, if an ISP, an incumbent ISP that hasn't done their job also submits
and lobbies,
they're going to get equal funding.
They're going to get more funding.
Well, probably reality, yeah, they're going to be more funding.
Chris, what do you think about this art?
I like that art. I don't like the article it's attached to, but I like the art.
The blue part's a little weird. I guess there wasn't much
They
else
just kind of gave up on the blue part. They're like, just scramble it up. It's amazing that none of the big companies were like charged for taking the money and not doing anything with it.
Well, they were rewarded.
This has been the pattern since the 90s. We're going to do fiber this time, really. Give us money.
Oh, when you say since the 90s, you mean since the invention of the internet, at least the consumer internet.
Yep.
I mean, they didn't have ISPs prior to that.
Yeah, we knew that copper was not going to cut it 30 years ago, and here we are.
Well, you remember that time that Microsoft and Amazon were fighting about that big government contract? No, not that time. The other time.
Now Microsoft is protesting after Amazon won a $10 billion NSA cloud contract. The battle has moved from Jedi to Wild and Stormy.
These names that they come up with for these programs.
I feel like if I was the person awarding the contract in this case, I'd just be like, fine, neither of you get it because you argued. That's what I do with 3-year-olds.
But you need one of them to do it. You need this program.
I can't believe the NSA is outsourcing some of this to the cloud. It's like, is this really a good idea, guys? But they said that they're going to move a bunch of stuff to the cloud and blah, blah, blah. But there is a really interesting tidbit in here, which is Microsoft's argument is that their proposal was not properly evaluated because it sounds like they had some analytics data on their solution. And it's like, our solution addresses your thing in this way. Log in and take a look. And nobody logged in to take a look. So how did you evaluate it?
And the argument here is basically just a mirror image of the last time.
Yeah.
It's like just the two companies are just taking turns, accusing each other of the same things. I'm sure that's true. They're probably both doing the worst things that they can.
Maybe the NSA and the DoD can get together and it's like, all right, Amazon, you get this one. Microsoft, you get that one. They're both worth about $10 billion. It's fine.
Yeah, so you just showed your naivete by saying the DOJ and the DoD get together. Never. They will not play with one another. These New York Times articles.
Yeah.
They're
special.
They don't even summarize what they're trying to tell you in the headline. It's just this long meandering. But what you're getting out of this one is that the Teamsters are getting serious about Amazon.
New York Times headline is Amazon faces wider fight over labor practices. I don't think they have a man on the ground for this article. This read like it was sourced from, interviews with like a rando over the phone or something. But there's another warehouse in Alabama, first of all, that is looking at unionizing. And the Teamsters are trying to get stuff organized basically everywhere Amazon has a fulfillment center. And it's like, hey, do you have to pee in a bottle? Yeah, well, Teamsters can put an end to that.
And the Teamsters, unlike most of the unions, Teamsters aren't that worried about doing the more disruptive stuff, like shutting down warehouses or, having strikes and stuff like that. So, although the strikes in the past have not been super effective against Amazon.
Yeah.
They're pretty strong against that. They're strong against unions.
Although at the rate of employee attrition that Amazon is doing, Amazon will soon have employed every capable working person.
Well, what was it? 1 in 160 people in this country are employed by Amazon?
Yeah.
Yeah, 169, I think, yeah.
So if Amazon goes nuclear on people trying to do a union, they're going to run out of workers.
Isn't that something we did a story about that too, where they had like internal memos? They're like, we're kind of burning through staff, and we don't know we'll be able to replace them.
Well, they got that crazy thing where they fire 10%, right?
Yeah.
Constantly fire 10%, no matter what. You could have the best workers in the world, and there were managers like, I hire people just to fire them, so I don't have to fire my good guys.
Do you think we'll see H-1B visa workers where it's like this guy is the most amazing? What do they call them? Athletes? Like business
industrial athletes.
It's like this. We need an H-1B visa for the industrial athletes, from the guy out of Mexico or some guys out of some other Honduras or something. It's like these guys need to come in and do our warehouse. They're amazing.
I don't think so, because you have to prove a skill level for your H-1Bs, right?
Well, skill level for industrial athleticism.
You're gonna do a combine, the Amazon combine, where we bring them over and make them run the 40 and bench press 250. God, that would be that is a good YouTube parody video somebody could get on, the Amazon combine. And you'd have like an over 65 section, like you'd have different classes. The RV team.
We need to script that. Maybe we could get Linus to help produce it or something. That would be funny.
But he's Canadian. They don't know our plight with Amazon.
I think they kind of do, though, right?
They do.
Doesn't Amazon just abuse everybody all the way down every country?
They definitely do.
Yeah, but I don't think Amazon Canada has... Well, maybe they do. Engagement challenge. Does Amazon Canada have the same reach? Can they deliver to like the Great North Unknown? Is that a thing?
You need to deliver this to the number 47 spruce tree in the Saskatchewan outback.
The mining camp.
Yeah. And it's like, here you go. There's the Amazon. I left it against the root.
I could totally see. It's your first day as an Amazon Canada driver, and they give you this like broken down van, and they're like, yeah, just take the ice road for 700 miles.
The van's just peppered with bullet holes.
Well, electronic vehicles, one of the big complaints that a lot of people have about electronic vehicles thus far is that they're kind of a toy of the rich. Not a lot of entry-level ones. That's getting better with the Ford's got the one. There's I think like Hyundai and Honda have a couple that are a little more reasonable. But that $80,000 to $100,000 price tag, that is kind of crazy for a car. Some of the people in the government are saying that same thing.
No EV tax credit if you earn more than $100,000, says U.S. Senate. The amendment would also limit the tax credit to EVs that cost less than $40,000.
I don't know. I mean, I understand the cost less than $40,000 thing, but in terms of how much you earn, are you saving the planet any less if you earn? I mean, isn't that the argument for EVs?
Well, and this isn't going to affect the super rich because they have little holding companies that own a corporate fleet of vehicles that shuttle them around. It's not like those super rich people don't buy a vehicle in their name. Their company that handles them, like their handler company, buys it, and then it's a corporate purchase, and it's in the fleet, so it doesn't even matter.
It seems like they should do everything they can to encourage uptake of that.
Or could let the market decide. That's worked in the past. NYPD, they've got a bad reputation.
This is like the 6th article we've covered like this, and the more you peel back the linoleum, the more it's like, ooh.
But here's the impressive thing, right? This is the 6th article that we've talked about with this kind of thing. We didn't know any of this before now.
Yeah.
This is all new information, and it goes back a long time.
The NYPD secretly spent $159 million on surveillance tech. They got X-ray vans, they got facial recognition vans, they got, anything.
Stingrays and those fake towers.
Yeah, I mean, just anything. So when you were at a protest in New York City, there was something running and scanning you and making a note and doing gait analysis. I mean,
probably just when you were walking down the street to get a donut or something.
They've got all the phone unlock subscriptions. Yeah. They've got Celebrite Plus. So yeah, they were forced to reveal all this because of freedom of information, and it's just a treasure trove of what they've been throwing money at.
This is the one where the first couple responses to this were there's no responsive records too. They had to be sued.
So they had a slush fund, and I can't remember what they called it, but they ran everything through the slush fund, which kept it out of the official channels.
Which provides X-ray vans that can detect weapons in vehicles 1,500 feet away. Certainly that's never given anybody cancer.
Or detected anything other than a weapon. So, yeah, wow. A lot of money. And the tax rate, if you're in New York City and you're paying those taxes, you should be angry about that. You should be very angry.
It's funny. A couple of years ago, we were on a road trip, and we were stopped by police like 2 or 3 times, and they always wanted to search the car. And now that I think about it, I had injection molding stuff in the trunk, which is the same kind of metal that a lot of guns are made out of, the same kind of density, and I bet it was like setting off something, and I just didn't realize it because I was like, that seems weird that we've been stopped 3 times as we travel across the state.
You let them search it?
Well, I mean,
disgusting.
Didn't really feel like I had a choice most of the time. Because it's like we're going to search it.
That's what they're counting on.
You can search it now, or we'll be here for 3 hours and we'll get the dog, and it's just like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, man, I can't remember the 99 Problems lyrics. But that's the response you give them.
Yeah.
What, that a bitch ain't what?
Yeah, you know what that song's about? The bitch is a dog. The bitch is the search dog.
Oh.
Right.
No, I've never listened that closely to the lyrics. I just know like the chorus.
So you thought it was about women, right? Nope.
Oh.
It's about police search dogs. Well, I remember when we were getting this big merger, and some people were like, yeah, but what if they did this? And they're like, are you crazy? We would never do that. That would be ridiculous, and I'm not even going to listen to it. And then a year later...
Bloomberg, T-Mobile stirs grave concerns at DOJ on a bid to end the old network. So it turns out there's millions of users that are still using Boost Mobile, but there's also a lot of like alarm systems and pagers and stuff like that on this old network. And T-Mobile wants to shut it down. It's the old Sprint network. And that will also force people to buy new phones, and the cost will probably go up and blah, blah, blah. And so the DOJ is like, wait a minute. When you guys merged, you said this wouldn't happen.
Oh.
It's happening.
Not again. They lied again?
If they're shutting it down and there's no value in it, maybe they should sell it to us. We could probably make a lot of money on that.
No, they say they got to use it to upgrade everything, get it on the new
Of
stuff.
course.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to buy the new stuff. Are we just going to force that to happen?
Yeah, we removed their choice. What are you talking about? That's the beautiful thing about it.
Yay, capitalism.
They have to upgrade. Imagine how many jobs that's going to create. The Navy is doing something that, it's cool, it's impressive, but the surveillance implications, they're a little worrying.
The U.S. Navy is deploying a solar-powered plane that can fly for 90 days. And they were saying, this is going to be amazing because it can escort ships at sea. We'll have advanced warning of pirates or any kind of sea activity for hundreds and hundreds of nautical miles around all of our ships. And then you're like, wait a minute, can these fly over land too? And they're like, shh.
Or, if people have a pesky protest.
They can just follow you home.
Is this image like comically large? Like it feels like the wings are...
Well, it has to. So
it's like stretched.
It's lightweight, but it needs to have like a large, footprint for the air to flow over, I would say.
Yeah.
And solar. It's all solar cells.
Yeah,
on
those
the top.
cells.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
So they had
space for the panels.
They've had these planes before, but this one increases the solar capacity and automates the piloting of it. So this thing can just take off, and it's just up there, beaming back images all by itself. Hanging out.
Sounds great.
I mean, the solar part is cool, but then it's like, oh, we're going to use this for something terrible, aren't we?
It's a mobile stingray.
That's everything the government's ever invented.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool because we here in the rural area, I'm waiting breathlessly for my fiber rollout.
But you're on the schedule.
Yeah, but that other story. The one about AT&T, I was like, oh, God, that's going to be me. I'm going to be affected by that. But anyway, you got to get the fiber to you, and it takes a long time, and it's hard to convince them. And guess who's fighting them at every step of the way? The battle of the poles. These big ISPs are actually winning that battle in most cases. In the UK, they have an interesting solution.
The UK launches a $4 million fund to run fiber optic cables through water pipes. So they're going to use the fiber optic cables to monitor the water pipes for breaks or spills or to know exactly when something bad happens with the water main. But you've got these large, 6-inch diameter water main pipes, and hey, that's a clear path from A to B. Instead of doing all of the work to bury it, we can just put a really, really small fiber optic cable in with the potable water. What could possibly go wrong?
Yes, it seems like there's a lot of things that could go wrong, though.
Like what?
Well, you can leach all kinds of chemicals out of the plastic jacket. I mean, I'm thinking about like fire-rated plenum cable. I would not want to put that in.
Or if you need
water.
to make a repair somewhere, like, wouldn't that be problematic trying to access it?
But I imagine there's going to have to be some kind of conduit that it's run in, right? There's going to be more than one line, probably.
And then that conduit leaches chemicals, or
well, PVC. I don't know. I mean, it's the same stuff we're already using. It's a good question. And if that conduit fails and water gets in, you could say that there's probably some issues there. But it's municipal water. That's already poison.
Yeah.
Just drink Nestle water.
Yummy, delicious, someone else's municipal water.
But it's been reverse osmosis purified. That's what's important. I know it comes out of a tap somewhere else.
Probably drinking Colorado River water that they've illegally taken.
Oh, it's public information. People have revealed where, like, based on what brand of Nestle you're drinking, because they have all the brands. They're like the umbrella corporation. They'll tell you where it's coming from. Actually, I think it tells you on the bottle, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to. I want some of the glacier water. I want to preserve some of the glacier water because it's like this is the last fresh melt glacier water on Earth because now all the glaciers are gone.
What would you sell that for in 40 years?
Like $4,000 on eBay.
$4,000. That'll be enough for a Big Mac in 40 years.
I was hoping we had a bottle around, but I don't think we do. There's no bottle.
Nope.
Of water, you mean?
Yeah, I was going to check the label, but you've got...
There's plenty of Nestle water in this jug.
I can't believe you buy Nestle water to put in a reusable bottle.
And I make
Store.level1.com.
And I make my ice cubes out of it. That's the important part. You get your ice out of the refrigerator, you're still drinking municipal water. See, that's where they get you. China, they had a weird week last week, or the week before, I guess, where they were like, hey, Tencent, you're done. And Tencent was like, no. And then it was Didi, you're next. And then Didi's, oh, God.
No.
And then they were kind of like, should we keep doing this? Because we are destroying our stock market. And apparently the answer is yes. We will continue.
China signals more regulation for businesses in coming years, from Bloomberg. So they really put together a pretty complete and succinct roadmap for the next 5 years, and it does not look good for the traditional big businesses. I honestly don't know if that's good or bad for citizenry. There wasn't really anything super nefarious in there.
But, I mean, they do seem to be doing it in the name of, like protecting data and stuff like that. But there's got to be a hook in there, right?
They're protecting the data for themselves.
I guess that's the game. But why now?
Because they've figured out how powerful that is?
Oh, I think they knew. There's something going on there. Very interesting, though.
Probably also the billionaires have had more power in the last 5 years than ever to fight the incumbent. And they're like, whoa, this is more pushback than we've ever had. We got to put an end to that.
They could also be trying to shake out international investors.
Yeah.
For coming war, perhaps. And this is a story that we see over and over and over. And Zambia is an African country, right?
Yes.
This seems to be very popular in African countries when there's an election.
WhatsApp and other social media platforms restricted in Zambia amidst ongoing elections because people are freaking out.
So they claim this is to fight misinformation. A lot of people are questioning that. They think it's meant to fight campaigning by the non-incumbent parties.
So they seem to say that every time, like, oh, it's for misinformation. And then it's like, is it really for that?
Yeah. This was August 12th. They were going to leave this turned off, I think, until Saturday when they finish.
By the time you guys watch this, you'll know.
Yeah, they're going to finish counting the votes. Imagine if no one could have tweeted or gotten on social media between Super Tuesday for the last Trump election till that Saturday.
It would have the country
would have burned.
Yes.
That was an important release valve, maybe. India has really been cracking down on the big tech companies, especially the social media ones, and it's a question of, we know they do it with China. To some extent, they do it to Russia. Will they completely give in and kowtow to India? Now we have the answer.
Twitter is now in compliance with India's new IT rules, the government has said. So I checked. Cow urine reporter dude is still in jail.
Probably not looking good for his future.
India's got a lot of people, and Twitter recognizes those people not as people, but as potential customers.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what else I was reading about? Apparently, unlike Wendell, most people in the U.S. are rejecting sugary drinks. They're getting killed on sugary drinks here. And they feel that China and India are the answer to that question. So they're pushing hard sugary drink. Engagement challenge, if you're in China or India, have you seen an influx of drink commercials and advertising?
Ooh.
I saw somebody refer to Coke as American Blackwater, and
That's kind of true.
I like that.
South Korea kind of is into that too. Don't they have some sort of soda that's like really popular with the youth?
Well, I'm sure every country has that.
But there's like a culture around it, I think. You know what? I'll ask one of our mods is in South Korea. I'll ask him.
She says, as we've reviewed orange sodas for like 6 weeks now, or 8.
Well, listen, I'll ask him. Actually, I won't. I'll probably forget by the time we do the stream tonight. But
Well, moving on to the security section, we have a big merger in the security world. I'm sure this will be excellent for consumers and overall a good thing, right?
NortonLifeLock and Avast PLC merge an $8.4 billion transaction. I don't have any idea how either one of those companies are worth 1% of that.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean,
I really don't.
I feel like Norton, in my mind, has just as bad a reputation as McAfee. And they don't even have the crazy guy who, poisoned the name for years after.
Yeah. LifeLock is like one of those identity things that started out as snake oil, and then, they sort of figured out what the product was. They were just like a fear product.
I think it's still real hard to get any relief from all of that, right? You have to really prove it was something. You have to, like step by step show how it happened. Kind of like all insurance, I guess, right? Well, this was a big one in the crypto world because we have these DeFi sites, decentralization. The problem with cryptocurrency, it's got centralization. So what do? We decentralize it. But do we really know how to do that?
No.
Maybe we don't.
Cross-chain DeFi site Polynetwork hacked, hundreds of millions potentially lost. The DeFi platform Polynetwork was attacked on Tuesday with alleged hacker draining roughly $600 million in crypto. I thought this was the one where they agreed to give it back? Because hackers returned nearly half of the $600 million they stole in one of the biggest crypto heists. But that was because the network marked their tokens as having no value. So the headline there is a little misleading.
And they called out and they were like, hey, here's the addresses. Do not take anything from these addresses.
Yeah.
Don't let any transaction happen from these addresses. And so they're like, well, okay, I guess we'll give some of it back. They still have to figure out how to launder that other half.
Well, they've given more than that since then. But yeah.
What if they said, because they were in communication with them, what if they said, it's like, all right, listen, let me keep 10.
10%.
Let me keep 10. No, 10 million.
Oh, 10 million. Okay.
I'll take less than 10%. Just let me keep 10 million and don't hassle me.
They probably would do that.
But I don't think the authorities would
probably not
play that game. Yeah. Well, we all know that if you've played an RPG, you know the joys of a master key. A key that can open any door. Wow, what a great thing that is. Unless you work in security. And then you find that to be a terrifying thing. And when it's not a physical key, it's even more terrifying.
Researchers create master faces to bypass facial recognition. According to their paper, their findings imply that facial recognition systems are extremely vulnerable. So they can create artificial faces that are enough generic that it's like, oh yeah, that's this guy.
Now, how great is this? How beautiful if you're like a young, woke, revolutionary, that the master people, the horrible problem that we have with all of our security, are all old white men.
They do. I mean, they do kind of have like a certain face type, right?
Well, I guess this guy's a little bit Asian, right? Hard to tell at that age. But that's it. So it turns out that old white man face that's the back door.
The top left and the bottom left, you can't tell me that's not the same dude.
No, these are all generated by an AI. These are not real people at all.
Wow.
Crazy, huh? Your algorithm is failing.
Well, my vision's failing, so.
That's true. Those are all just pink blobs to you, Krista.
I can see them, just not real well.
She drove here.
I have contacts in. I get my eyes checked every year, which is more than I can say for you.
And yet, no, I'm going to go soon. I've been meaning to do that. Next time I get like a 4-day period without rain, I'm going to do that.
What? Why are you attaching it to the weather?
Because I don't drive my car in the rain.
Oh. Do you drive all the way home to get your eyes checked? I do that. I shouldn't, but.
No, that guy has dementia now.
Oh.
All the records are gone. Yeah.
Nice.
Right.
Wow. I'm assuming he probably didn't have a digital backup.
No one knows. He's just gone. He's just in a home somewhere.
Surely he's got staff. Anyway.
I think they just noped out.
Wow.
There's probably some legal pursuit there, but I'm going to go after an old man with dementia.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy. We'll start over. It's been like over a decade, so probably not much value there anyway, right? Now, I do. One of the things about prison that's unpleasant, but you got to understand it, right? Is they listen to everything that you say on those phones, and so often people get busted by that. Like they know it because it plays a little audio recording when you get a call and when you place a call.
Haven't they played Prison Architect? You can tap the phones in that too.
Yeah, it's like they don't even game. But this takes it to a disturbing new level.
U.S. prisons mull AI to analyze inmate phone calls. It's like inmate 3621 is talking about playing Stellaris a bunch, and we think that's code for moving illicit material.
Stellaris is code for MS-13. So yeah, they're saying that not only would this look for keyed words, like, flagged words, like I imagine murder or drugs, you can program it to add new words because all that prison slang keeps changing over time. And so you can sort of, set your own rules up in this AI, and it'll listen to stuff, and then you go back and it'll say, oh yeah, this is what happened here.
I wonder if you could trick that somehow by instead of a very defined word, just do a weird noise in your throat. You think it would pick that up?
Yeah, but you would have to set all that up beforehand because all of your mail and all of your voice is recorded, so you don't have time to create this conspiracy when you're already in. That's the tough part. It's hard to overcome security when you're locked inside of a building.
It's true.
Well, actually it's not, because somehow drugs and phones just can't keep coming into prisons.
You got to build 2 fences, each 10 blocks apart, so people can't throw it over.
10 blocks?
Yeah, in Prison Architect, that's how you.
Oh, I thought you meant city blocks.
No.
Well, but what about drones, Chris? They use drones now.
It's not part of the DLC as far as I know. I haven't played the DLC yet, but
I should add that.
They should add that.
Well, speaking of unacceptable levels of surveillance,
Uber has asked a contractor to allow video surveillance in employee homes and bedrooms.
No, thank you.
Yikes. Because obviously some people work from their bedrooms. Like if you live in New York and you got a studio apartment, you work from every room because there's only the one.
Because New York City.
And they're saying that you might be cheating about what you're doing. So not only do they have screen recording software and keystroke recording software, but they're not saying, I don't know, I think we need to look at you all day.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well,
I don't understand that at all.
Now, there's never been a time in Uber's past where they misused driver data, was there?
Oh, only the 7 or 8 times.
And there would never be a story about, like some IT worker at Uber who just likes looking at girls in their bedrooms or boys. Apple is coming under a little bit of fire because maybe they had some scam software on their app store, and
but our walled garden is so amazing.
Someone checks every app.
But here's the thing about it. Like, imagine if you had the walled garden and inside of it there was a hungry bear, but there was also a giant neon sign with an arrow pointing down that says, come see the bear.
Developers complain that Apple promotes scam apps on the App Store. Apple removed the story promoting the apps after the developers pointed it out.
Oops.
Ugh. This one was a slime-based app.
What does that mean?
Jelly Slime Simulator ASMR. I don't know.
So just fart noises is an app? I don't.
But it was a subscription.
And a weekly subscription. Krista, how much do you think they would charge weekly? How much do you think they thought they could get away with?
$2.
$13.
What?
Yeah.
We're in the wrong business.
$13 a week.
We're stopping. We have an announcement. We're stopping the YouTube channel and we're getting into whatever this is.
Scam apps.
Crime, Krista. That's what
crime.
That's crime. Yeah. And if you remember the big Apple iCloud automatically detecting the photo hashes thing, a lot of companies have come out against that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have complained about it. But it turns out there's actually a really easy way to avoid it.
Apple can't run CSAM checks on devices with iCloud photos turned off because your photos don't sync to the cloud and they don't run the check on the device yet. They will. Don't worry. It runs in the cloud.
So I don't know if that's really a tip we want to give out, but there's other reasons not to want them to look at your pictures than trafficking child stuff.
Some had suggested that there was some kind of a deal between the DOJ and Apple. I think we've been able, with this piece of information, we're able to piece together what happened. The DOJ threatened to come after Apple for having illegal material on their servers, unless they played ball with the whole decrypt phones application thing. This would be a move against that.
But you're insinuating that they would have this cozy relationship, when clearly, based on this story, they are the bitterest of enemies.
Apple says it will reject any government demands to use new child sexual abuse images detection system for surveillance. And yet, that's what that is.
I don't believe them.
Apparently, they just didn't bribe him a high enough number yet.
If you read really carefully into the Apple quotation, it's like, to do anything beyond what's required by law. So again, that sort of plays back into my argument that, like, I think they were threatened because they don't provide backdoor encryption, that they're going to, come up with something that Apple's doing that's illegal. And so Apple's like, all right, if we have to do that to comply with the law, then so be it. But look at, they're doing far more egregious things in markets like the Chinese market. So this is really shouldn't surprise anybody. And it's going to get worse.
Imagine how much more threat or how much more weight that threat holds if you start talking to them. It's like, we're getting rid of 230, right? Be a shame if you had a big server full of nasty stuff and we do that. Amazon, they've created a world where reviews on their site matter an incredible amount financially for businesses, big and small. So these businesses are doing everything they can to try and get good reviews, including cheating, right? They're buying them.
Yeah.
But more importantly, that one-star review, because one-star review will cancel out a lot of purchased reviews.
Yeah.
What do?
When Amazon customers leave negative reviews, some sellers hunt them down and they'll offer double refunds if you take away your negative review. I can definitely say that, on some of the stuff that I've worked on, sometimes you have a customer that is so amazingly dumb that it's just impressive. And they're like, I'm not really happy with this product because, it's just craziness. And they'll leave a thing and people then start to have doubts about it. And it's like, no, you don't understand. That person was just incredibly dumb.
I see a lot of Amazon reviews where it'll be a 1-star review. It's like, they just left this on my porch and it rained in the box. And it's like, well, that's not really the product's fault now, is it? And we maybe should have a different review for the seller in a different spot. That does exist, but it's really hard to find. So, there's definitely some failure on the part of the customer. But here's the problem with this story. It's not supposed to be possible for them to ever find you outside of your Amazon. Like Amazon strips the emails, right?
Yeah.
So how are these companies finding these people?
Some of it is address based. Some of it is you can message them, and there's like a dispute resolution system.
You can't do that here because if Amazon saw this, you'd be done. This is outside of it. And they interviewed this one woman, and they're like, "Well, how did they get your email?" And she didn't have an answer for them.
Oh.
Yeah. And like you say, Krista, she doesn't stalk like she used to. It might have atrophied a little bit, but in her glory days, she could have got that email address in like 10 minutes.
It's a weird set of skills to develop over time. I had to do that recently when we were hiring another editor. But I don't take it to the extreme creep level that I used to.
It's fine.
Got to use those muscles, Krista.
Letting them matter. Well, I think people are more privacy minded too. Like they don't post everything online anymore.
How's your archery going?
It rained the first 2 days this week, and then I was doing garden stuff the rest of the week, so I haven't had a chance to shoot this week.
Well, a true, serious archer, Krista, does not let the rain stop them.
It was pouring rain, though.
You wax that bowstring, and you get out there.
And you just get out there and do it. I do enjoy it. But yeah, I just haven't had a chance this week. There's a lot of weeding to do. I've let a portion of my garden kind of get crazy, so I had to go out and just mash weeds for an afternoon.
Yeah, I'm going to let that joke go this week. Moving on to the security section, we have some bad news. If you're running a certain kind of router firmware,
routers and modems that are running the Arcadyan firmware are under attack. Yeah, they're going to be made part of the botnet. So there's a bunch there. So there's ADSL, wireless routers,
Oh, wow.
Asus, Buffalo.
That was a long list.
Yeah. Most of them are older. But a lot of people don't replace this stuff very often.
It just mysteriously stopped working. I don't understand.
Yikes. And here's an interesting one, because these international criminal gangs, and a lot of them seem to come out of Russia. This one, in fact, seems to be confirmed.
Yep.
Came out of Russia. But we don't know much about them. How do you find out the dark details of these guys? Well, you let their own dysfunction do the work for you.
Step 1, do a Google search. Ransomware hacker goes rogue and leaks the gang's plan. So, this guy, I guess they were successful with something, and this guy was upset because the split wasn't correct or something.
Right. His spoils, he did not feel. It felt like his contribution was worth more than he was getting.
So, he's like, all right, let's leak everything.
And the hilarious thing here are the training documents, because really is step 1, do a Google search. You have to try and identify how much money they bring in and who the top people might be that you go after to get their identities and their accounts. So it's sort of like do your homework, and then they have this toolkit. I think it was called Cobalt or something like that.
Cobalt Strike.
And yeah, Cobalt Strike, and kind of a paint by numbers type of deal. It seemed like.
Yeah.
Interesting that you would think they would have a lot more
This is
skill.
that criminal franchising thing where it's like you just outsource the low-level gruntery and cut them in when they hook something.
Turnkey terrorism.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, it worked for a while, but you do have to worry about. What's interesting? You ever read about how pirates during the golden age of piracy, they had a very structured way of divvying up the spoils.
yeah.
Yeah. And it was, you knew when you got on that boat what you were going to get, what percentage you were going to get. Internet of Things, it's a bad idea. Want some proof?
But Bob had a bad night. IoT mischief in a capsule hotel takes neighborly revenge to the next level. When you hand over control of capsule bedrooms to guests, you also offer them the means to troll others.
So they had a DEF CON near this capsule hotel.
Oh,
Yeah. And
there it is.
And somebody was being real loud next to this guy's capsule. So he began to deconstruct the room. It turns out that all the routers and everything are just like cleverly hidden, but you can access them, and you can plug your phone and laptop into them. Once you've done that, he did have to drain the battery out of the iPad because it wouldn't let him leave that app. But once he drained the battery and charged it back up, he was able to get through that. Took over and started messing with the guy next to him who was being loud.
Nice.
Is this one of those hotels that's like you just get like a little coffin to sleep in?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
That's
they,
some dedication to pull out all your tech gear in your little capsule just to mess with the guy next to you.
But imagine how annoying it could be if the guy next to you. He said the guy next to him was on the phone at like 3 a.m.
Oh,
Imagine how. Look how thin those walls are.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a piece of drywall. So. Yeah.
wow.
And we've seen these stories too many times at this point. Certainly one time is too many times, but this has got to be like the 5th or 6th time we've seen a major headline about this. And in this case, it wasn't the destruction that caused it, but they were smart enough that as soon as they got a whiff of it, they were like, just turn it all off.
Yeah.
Turn the lights off. Nothing has power right now. And when that happens,
Ransomware attack forces Indiana hospital to turn ambulances away because they turn everything off.
yikes.
Wow.
No one died this time around that we know of, but it could be that someone got,
Rerouted.
a lifelong debilitation because they didn't get their treatment quickly.
Oh, he only didn't have oxygen to the brain for an extra 2 minutes. It's fine.
Yeah, it's only like 12 IQ points.
That's like 50.
He's not going to need those. And here's our terrifying surveillance age story of the week, because this man did nothing. He knew nothing, and he had no recourse.
Activists raided by police after downloading London property firm's confidential meeting minutes from a Google search. Someone must have broken in and taken the docs, it says Leather Market Community Benefit Society. So they raided his house, they arrested him, they took him to the police station, and he explained, it was like, I was looking for copies of the meeting minutes, which turned up in a Google search. And this company pulled the IP address from its logs and said, this person must have broken into the servers because those are behind a password. But they're not really behind a password because the site was not configured correctly because Google indexed those documents. And so when the police found it, they were like, he didn't do anything wrong.
So it turns out when you search for leather market minutes, first result is the PDF. Now, they don't have the same protections that we have, I guess, in this case. Like, can an IP still identify you over there?
I think that that's not really a protection that we have. I think here you would probably still be arrested, and it would have to make it a little bit further in the process.
But the eventually, because it is a Supreme Court ruling, you would say that you would get away from that.
Yeah. And
maybe he would have eventually as well. Of course, people talk about, it's like, oh, don't worry. You'll get arrested, but it'll never go anywhere. Well, what?
That's still super annoying.
That's going to cause me a lot of problems. Who's going to feed my cats?
Who's going to mow your lawn?
That's our last story.
What do we got for tomorrow?
I don't remember. I've been pre-sorting, so I don't remember.
I think it was social and probably robot, right?
We got a design section this week, Kristen.
Oh, no. I didn't see that.
Oh. Chat.
I saw there's a black hole story as well, but that's probably for nonsense.
Right.
So.
The black hole was not designing anything.
No.
Except for your murder.
Don't get too close. We'll see you.